Folks, let's talk about the most impressive EV startup that no one else is really talking about. Yes, folks, at a time when the global EV market is slowing down, many companies are going under and price cuts are getting more and more popular, there's only a certain handful of EV startups that are handling this situation very well. And particularly, those startups exist not in North America where most of the money is, but actually in mainland China. Yeah, believe it or not, folks, the Chinese have a little bit more knowledge than us here in America on how to build cars effectively, which is why more than 70% of all EV sales occurred in China in 2022. Not only are they the leader in semiconductor manufacturing, supply chain, and now even electric vehicle design, but they are gaining more and more traction when it comes to profitability as well as market share in global EV sales. Case and point. A company by the name of Xpeng Motors just reported 68% month-over-month growth in its EV deliveries to almost 15,000 units. As it turns out, although BYD, Xpeng, NIO, and all these other companies don't really sell a lot of vehicles outside of China, what they are selling in China is actually performing really well and is a clear red flag for other OEMs not from the country. And in my opinion, Xpeng Motors is potentially going to be one of the most important startups to pay attention to given just how far they've come so far in 2023. And in this video, I want to explain exactly why I believe that is the case. But as usual, folks, before we get into it, make sure to drop me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. To start things off, folks, let's understand the status of the Chinese EV market and where Xpeng fits into it. And what better way to start than by looking at market share data for October 2023. As you can see, BYD had an astounding lead of more than 33.5%, leaded by other smaller OEMs by the name of Geely, which owns Volvo and other companies, as well as SAIC, which is a GM joint venture, and some other homegrown Chinese EV companies that indeed do sell hybrids. And then you can see at the bottom, surprisingly enough, Tesla and Xpeng, which sell all electric vehicles only, are actually much lower in the list than many people probably expected. And the reason for that, folks, is pretty simple. New energy vehicles in China consist of both hybrids and battery electric vehicles, which means there are really only a handful of all battery electric startups that are competing for market share in China right now. And as shown by the list I just showed you, Xpeng and Tesla are at the very top of that. And guess what, folks? Despite that close tie in market share that Xpeng and Tesla have, they both could not have a bigger difference in terms of revenue as well as market cap, with Tesla sitting at more than 680 billion USD versus Xpeng sitting at 13.8 billion, with BYD, which is by far Tesla's closest competitor, sitting at 92 billion. It's pretty clear that Tesla at this point has everything to lose in the form of market capitalization and valuation, whereas other startups who are now just entering the S-curve growth phase have everything to win. And one of the best, in my opinion, right now is Xpeng Motors. Now, don't get me wrong, folks, Xpeng had and still does have a lot of challenges ahead of it, just like really any electric vehicle startup. But when it comes to innovation, launching fresh new products that the market wants, as well as pivoting at the right time and at the right place, there's not a lot of companies that are doing that better than China's Xpeng. Xpeng has actually, matter of fact, now surpassed the market cap of NIO, which although sold more in unit volume in 2022, is starting to get overtaken in the form of deliveries by Xpeng. With now in the fourth quarter of 2023, the company expects to deliver almost 64,000 units with revenue of more than 13.5 billion RMB. And the reason why this is such a big deal, folks, is because Xpeng is coming off a huge slump in deliveries in 2022. The company went public in end of 2020 and saw a spike at the end of 2021 to almost 8.5 billion RMB revenue. But since then, because of heightened competition, inflation, as well as some missteps from the company's management when it comes to marketing their vehicles, the company's revenue slumped by more than 25%, resulting in a really grim outlook for the company and many people calling the company to go bankrupt. As a matter of fact, you can see that pretty clearly through the performance of the stock, which at one point was trading more than $57 a share and then fell to almost $6.50 at the end of last year and has now recovered back to 16. The company, as a matter of fact, when it launched some of its latest new products, had really good reception on launch day, but not good reception when the vehicles hit dealers. Essentially, the company mismarketed the specs as well as the different trim levels of their vehicles, and as it turned out, got outcompeted with similar models from competition. But instead of that being the nail in the coffin for the company, that seemed to have been the best thing that could have happened to this business, as it reignited a new urge from the CEO and the management to gain market share and launch newer products that tailor to newer types of customers. With Xpeng's vehicles being the very first on planet Earth mass-produced with an 800-volt electric architecture, as well as having some of the best autonomous driving suites par with Tesla, the company is on the leading edge of technology and innovation, especially in mainland China. This gives the company a really solid differentiator when comparing from other auto OEMs, and the only issue remaining is launching enough kinds of products with a good enough pricing structure to entice buyers off of the competition. And that is something the company has been doing really well over the past few quarters, going into what is potentially the most exciting launch of the year for the company. Just 2 weeks ago, the company launched the X9, which is a first of its kind all-electric minivan, or MPV as it's called in Asia, which is intended to bring Xpeng into the higher margin segments of more luxurious and expensive offerings. As a matter of fact, there's very little competition in the all-electric MPV space, and a lot of the new concepts that have been launched are getting difficult for companies to scale up, as we've seen with the launch of the Volvo EM90. Although those in the West will call these vehicles ugly and way too expensive for a minivan, rest assured that these vehicles are nothing alike the Toyota Siennas, Honda Odysseys, or Chrysler Pacificas of the West. These are in fact the Chevy Suburbans and Cadillac Escalades of Asia, which means a lot of money to be made for auto manufacturers. And based on the images and reviews I'm seeing of the new X9, it could be one of the most pivotal product launches for Xpeng's history. What do you guys think? Can Xpeng become a successful BYD-like competitor in China? Or are there other EV startups doing a better job than this company? As usual, folks, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.